I have a story about a dog-headed creature with human body and why this creature is important. You are listening to Voidcast. Today's episode is Demons of the Forest. So there is this lake in the middle of a forest high in the mountain. Every drop of water in this very lake is very pure, pristine and clear. And of course, with such description, one might think about finding the lake, but they cannot. They won't be able to, because the lake and the forest is the home of a creature called owl. The body is human and the head is of a wolf, and with its head twisted backwards, owl roam through the forest by walking backwards, leaving footprints like a human. And for owl, the whole forest and the lake belongs to him and him only. He doesn't like anyone enter his forest, so he will walk backwards from the thickest part of the forest and taunt people to follow his footprint. And anyone who's stupid enough to follow this footprint will be lost forever in the forest. And apparently, the missing people was just a warning. When you think that you are safe far from the forest, at the foot of the mountain, you're not really out of the woods. For example, from farmers who try to open a land in the forest, or carpenters cutting down trees of the same forest, they will be visited by owl. Owl will be coming, and he brings calamity to people who dare to disturb his domain. And owl will not stop only at one person. His wrath will come to everyone in the village. So, for everybody's safety, the forest and the lake became forbidden for anyone to enter, for nothing but misfortune lies ahead. So, if you ever disturb a forest, maybe owl or maybe any other entity is coming for you. As I told you, this is not a horror story. And the story of owl apparently comes from the Sundanese people in West Java. For Sundanese people, this myth has been passed from generation to generation, and they are not meant to just scare the children. This mythology, this superstition, is actually a sophisticated security system. They were a way of maintaining the balance between humans and nature. So let's check again the story of owl. So owl lives around a lake in the forest high in the mountain. If his home is disturbed, he will be bringing calamity. This sounds familiar, right? If not, to understand this superstition, allow me to ask you a question. So even if there is no owl, there is no any supernatural creature, what would happen when you exploit waters in a lake or the trees in the forest, in the mountain? Basically, it's going like this. If you pump the water excessively, the lake might dry out. If we wash the clothes or dump waste into the lake, the water will be contaminated. While cutting down trees will, of course, result in a landslide. Without the trees to hold the water in the soil, the rainy season will be hellish for people at the mountain foot. Simple, right? Keep the nature, so disasters will not be upon ye. And through the fear instilled by this myth, ancient Sundanese communities succeeded in restraining the greed of humanity. They were able to protect the forest or even parts of the mountain without the need of big fences, walls, or even CCTV. But they are using something more effective: superstition, mythology, and unseen beings. But sociological wisdom is today challenged by modernity that rejects any kind of superstition. It sounds more rational to say, preserve the nature, instead of, there is a ghost lurking in the forest. And this phenomenon is called demythologization. What is demythologization? Demythologization is actually the effort of both humans to strip away any superstition, myth, folklore from something in order to understand more rationally, logically, or scientifically. You might be thinking that actually this is a value of progress when the people are getting smarter, getting more rational, and they are leaving all that superstition. Actually, demythologization is beneficial if the people are able to understand the deeper meaning behind those superstitions. It is beneficial when rationality is used to become aware of the ecological importance of everything around us, the lake, the forest, and the mountain. But in reality, what often happens is distortion. When people undergo demythologization, the first thing to disappear is the fear and respect for nature. And there is this very famous German sociologist named Max Weber. He introduced the concept called Entzauberung der Welt, or this enhancement of the world. Weber argued that when the world became highly rational and modern, the nature loses its sacred value. The forest, trees, and mountain are now stripped bare by modernity. And as a result of this excessive demythologization, any tree is no longer important, it's no longer sacred, it's no longer respected. Instead, it becomes merely an economic commodity or something in the way of people's business. When nature loses its myth, it is reduced to nothing more than a commodity. People become willing to act recklessly, freely cutting down the trees wherever they please because they think there are no ghosts here, so it's safe. It is just a tree. But the real question is it good for our survival? So basically, our team discussed this with Kang Pepep Didin Wahyudin. He is an ecological cultural expert from ISB Bandung. He directly highlighted how the fading of beliefs in this myth or superstition is actually directly proportional to the destruction of our ecosystem.
Karena hilangnya respect masyarakat terhadap ekologi, karena pamali tadi sudah tidak ada, sudah tidak diterapkan. Terjadi kalau dalam buku Manusia Gunung saya menyebutnya demythology deforestasi.
Demythology deforestasi.
Hancurnya mitos dan di saat yang sama itu menyebabkan hancurnya ekologi. Nah, sebagai manusia modern kan kita punya problem sekarang dengan ekologi. Salah satunya sebagai contoh kasus adalah sungai misal. Karena kita punya problem dengan sungai, kita bikin manifestasi baru. Kalau dulu cukup dengan pamali, sekarang manifestasi kita sebagai manusia modern itu membuat aturan perundang-undangan sampai ke peraturan daerah. Salah satunya ada di Kota Bandung, ada peraturan tentang K3, kebersihan, ketertiban, dan keindahan. Barang siapa yang membuang sampah ke sungai, itu bisa didenda sampai 5-50 juta. Pertanyaan paling sederhana bagi kita masyarakat modern, mana yang lebih menakutkan? Jurik jarian atau hantu penunggu sungai yang irasional atau nominal 50 juta yang real gitu. Harusnya kan bagi kita takut dengan yang real 50 juta. Tapi bagaimana faktanya sungai hari ini? Tetap kotor, tetap tercemar, dan rusak gitu. Artinya pamali itu bukan hanya sekedar menakut-nakuti, tapi itu bentuk hubungan manusia dengan alam.
At the same time, destruction of myth led to the destruction of ecology. Kang Pepep also gave a real example of what happened in West Java, specifically in Kampung Cibitung, a village located around Situ Aul. This is the lake we have mentioned in the very beginning. In this village, Kang Pepep conducted research between 2012 and 2014. And his research discovered that in 1995, a major project required land clearing. And then, tree cutting began. Not only 1 or 2 trees, but apparently a whole forest just disappeared. It was at this very moment demythologization happened. The community began to lose its sense of respect for nature.
Nah dulu mitosnya atau pamalinya gini, gak boleh nebang pohon di dekat situ Aul. Kalau ada yang menebang pohon, nanti ada mamala. Mamala tuh bahasa sederhananya hari ini, akan ada bencana kalau orang berani melanggar pamali tersebut atau tabu tersebut. Nah 95 ada sebuah proyek besar yang membabat hutan tersebut. Itu yang dimaksud dengan terjadi demythology. Akhirnya masyarakat jadi berpikir, lah ternyata mitos aul tuh nggak ada. Buktinya itu hutan, dulu orang tua kita melarang menebang satu pohon memasuki kawasan tersebut karena ada aul. Ini buktinya sekarang gunung dan hutannya dibabat habis, tidak terjadi apa-apa. Nah, terjadilah demythology, deforestasi. Sejak saat itu, masyarakat di Kampung Cibitung jadi berani menanam hortikultura di gunung tersebut. Puncaknya, tahun 2015 terjadi longsor di sana. Dan kalau step sekarang ke kampung tersebut, ingin membuktikan cerita saya, kampung tersebut sekarang sudah rata dengan tanah.
From Kang Pepep's story, there is one hard-hitting conclusion we can draw. Believing in superstition does not always make us a backward or outdated society. As modern human, we are indeed expected to understand the rational and logical reasons behind a phenomenon. Our intellectual progress should be accompanied by wisdom instead of arrogance. And you've just listened to Voidcast. Thank you for listening.